Hello, my friends. This is the second video today, and so it's a little less about particular content about what's going on in Ukraine and just something a little, it's humorous, but there's also something important to talk about as well. So I made the big time, and I'll tell you how I made the big time and what that means exactly. But I have to tell it to you in some sort of a story. So the first thing is, as my channel struggled in the early days, I'd be, wow, I got 10 people to watch this. And eventually, that 10 became 100 and 100 became 1,000 and it grew. And over time, you'd get trolls and the trolls would come and attack you. And they're not, I don't think that that they're doing what they think that they're doing. I think they're trying to demoralize me. I find trolls funny. Trolls are somewhat laughable because you hear the same thing. If you read the comments, and I try to read as many comments as I can. I can't get everything, but I really try. But you'll hear the same thing, almost cut and paste, and you're like, oh, troll. Now, there are also human beings that are repeaters in the same way that Scott Ritter is a repeater of Russian propaganda. And those are a little bit more, they're not the same as the troll comments, but they're often less effective in a weird way. Like, if you are a professor, like, you don't think that the university checked my transcripts first? And if I'm not a professor, my students are going to be pretty disappointed when when they have to do their homework and such. So, yeah, I mean, or a professor is always right and you're no professor because you got something wrong. Well, actually, you've got it wrong. Professors know that we're constantly testing assumptions. And so anyone who would assert that a professor is right doesn't know what they're talking, or is always right, doesn't know what they're talking about, because we're always trying to test to see whether our assumptions are true or valid. That's how you can be sure about what you know. Anyway, so people will say that, or they'll say just outright mean things. Like, it would curl your hair if you heard some of the things that I was called over the last year. Okay, at any rate, I also found that I've gotten a number of, well, before I talk about that, let's talk about this. So I was trying to get this done yesterday, and for whatever reason, I just couldn't get it done. The school year is about to begin. Our faculty orientation was today. Class starts next week, and so I'm probably going to be down to one a day rather than 2 or 3 a day, as I've been doing for the last month or two. But so I tried to get it done yesterday and I just couldn't. And then I saw Jake Bro with this.
Welcome back, Defenders. Jake here. We're going to start today's video with a word of caution. I do not have a Telegram account. I don't have a WhatsApp account. I am never going to message you asking you to talk to me on Telegram or WhatsApp. These are scammers, 100% of the time. I'm sorry, I'm not a Nigerian prince. You have not won a prize. I am never going to ask you to send me money so I can then invest it for you. Every YouTuber has this problem. I can't stop people from using my picture and my name on other social media platforms to try and steal your money. So please, be careful, be safe, be smart. I believe in you guys.
Okay, so he said that, and I was just about to show you this. See, somebody alerted me, and thank you for those of you who did that. There was if you go to my About, you'll be able to contact me. If you go to my About page and you look down here and say View Email Address, and you'll see ProfessorGerdesYT@gmail.com. That's how you can contact me if you have questions. I try to read all those emails. I don't necessarily respond to all those emails, but to date, I have read every single email that's come through there. And don't just over pepper me with things unnecessarily. But if you have a question about that, please contact me. So there is this YouTube channel that had messaged me on Telegram at Professor Gerdes, and that's not me. That's somebody, setting this thing up. And there's actually a Telegram that has my likeness and Professor Gerdes on it. And unfortunately, I don't own that real estate, so I can't do anything about that Telegram. Now, there's also on here, if you type in Professor Gerdes, and that's my other channel. What I was doing before the war in Ukraine broke I was actually doing these videos about leadership. And so you can see me there as well. And that's actually me, although it doesn't have the Ukrainian flag. So this is me legitimately as well, where I talked about, well, mostly things about leadership before the war broke. So not only does Jake have this problem, but I now have this problem, which means that I've hit the big leagues, or I've gotten to another level where I've attracted trolls and repeaters, the Scott Ritter kind of repeater stuff. They don't like me, and so I'm doing something good. If your enemies if you've attracted enemies because of a worthy cause, I think that that's a healthy place to be. Okay, now I did want to say this though. I've also had intriguing offers, and I talked about this once before, but Canada Dry at dam.net. It's actually a Korean website. I looked it up. We hope this finds you healthy. We are reaching out to you from Canada Dry, a brand loved by millions. This was a scam to me. There was another scam that I got from the Czech Republic, I think this was. I hope this email finds you well, spelled with one L. Probably it's not. If you're going to try to scam me, it's okay. If you're going to try to scam a professor, you probably want to get the spelling right. Now, I know I've left some spelling errors trying to gun out 2 or 3 videos in the course of a day, but if you're coming from, theoretically, from KFC, you're not going to misspell the word well. We hope this message finds you well and in good spirits and filled with excitement for future endeavors. The team at KFC is thrilled to extend you a remarkable opportunity for collaboration. Okay, so it's not actually KFC. The same day, or no, after this, yesterday though, this was the 15th, the next day I got an offer from Atlas VPN. If you watch Dennis Davdov, he'll do stuff with Atlas VPN, and that's just, I don't know that that's going to help my audience. What I know is that my audience is older than me more than not, right? Like there's a few people in the sub 50 club. I'm 50, and most people, like I should be, and I showed this the other day as well, I should be hawking Clearlax because Clearlax will clean out your system, because Clearlax is the way to go. And Clearlax, if you're looking for a sponsor, I just worked in Clearlax 4 or 5 times just now in that last little bit. So send me a contract. I'm just kidding. So Atlas VPN sent me something, but I also got something from St. Javelin, and St. Javelin asked, like, well, what's your rate? I have no idea what a rate is. I am like a rate for sponsoring something. I'm a professor. I'm not a YouTuber. I'm just doing this on the side, trying to get by and trying to help people understand something. So I said, look, what's the best you can do for me? Like the highest amount of money that you could give me for doing a pitch about your stuff. If you don't know St. Javelin, this is St. Javelin, and they have clothing and other accessories and things along these lines. Tell me what the highest amount is, and if you can get me to a high enough number that you can donate to a worthy charity, I'll be happy to wear your stuff, say your script, do whatever it is that you want to do, because I care about the cause. Money, I want it to go to charity, and so they're working that out. So if you see something, me talk about it. Now, I'm leading to this. If I ask you to do anything, you will see me talk about it in a video. Don't just go to something like what Jake was talking about, where he was talking, or he was talking about that, or by my nemesis out here saying, "Message me on Telegram at Professor Gerdes." If you see me talk about it, it's legitimate. And if you don't see me talk about it, or you're worried about it, you can send me the email at Professor Gerdes, YT for YouTube, at gmail.com. And that's how we'll sort that out. One last thing before we go, and that is this. My theme is that I've made it big time, right? Okay. Yesterday, I talked to a reporter from the Albany Times-Union, and we were talking about Scott Ritter. Now, I did this video here the other day about Scott Ritter being banned on YouTube. I think it's wrong. You can disagree with me. I don't mind if you disagree with me. I want you to think through what I'm saying about it and whether you agree with me that he shouldn't be banned because it makes him bigger, and people will hear my argument here first. So this was carried in the Albany Times-Union. There are reasons for applying this prescription recommended a century ago by Supreme Court Justice Louis Brandeis, who famously argued that the answer to flawed speech is more speech. That's the position essentially adopted by Darin Gerdes, a professor at Charleston Southern University, who has used his own YouTube channel to respond to Ritter's Ukraine assertions. Quote, Scott Ritter should be allowed to say stupid stuff, Gerdes told me in a phone conversation. Quote, and I should be allowed to say that his arguments are stupid. Yeah, that's right. That's the way it works. Gerdes monitors Ritter's channel, but also saw nothing to explain YouTube's decision he fears will be counterproductive. Removing Ritter's channel, Gerdes said, leads people to believe, reasonably enough, that he's saying something the powerful want unheard. It threatens to add to his appeal. That's exactly my argument, and it's the same thing like when they took Trump off Twitter. There was a subset of the population that thought, wow, why are they banning Trump? The deep state, they must be trying to shut him up. He's really speaking truth, and they wanted to hear Trump even more. Don't do that. Now, you don't have to agree with me. You can say I'm wrong. Go ahead and tell me all the reasons I'm wrong, but I want you to think for yourself. So I'm not going to be telling you how to think. I'm going to provide you, here's my perspective, and here's maybe another perspective or another perspective. Others say, shut it up. Now, if I was in Ukraine, I would think about this differently. Ukraine is in martial law. In Ukraine, sure, I can buy that because every weapon you can bring to bear in a time of war and conflict within the country, bring to bear. So I'm not saying that if you're in Ukraine, but if you're in the United States, this is an overreach and it shouldn't be, in my estimation. But again, good people can disagree. I want you to think through it, not just adopt my opinion. I will never tell you, just believe me because it's me, okay? It's me, so just believe me. If you ever hear that, it's an imposter or something, run, okay? I'll never tell you that. All right, so that's my case for why I made it big time. I was in the paper, and Jake Bro had the same problem that I had, so woohoo, great. Now, I'm saying that somewhat facetiously that I made it big time because the next thing I'm going to do is turn this off and then go take out the trash. So, I mean, how big can you really be if you have to take out your own trash? All right. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for the likes and the shares and subscribes and ringing that bell so you hear this every day. Again, I'm probably going to be to one a day moving forward as we get into the school year. But thank you for your interest and thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.